Picture this. You wake up, look out the window, and where the Pacific Ocean used to be, there is nothing. Just a vast, empty, steaming basin stretching all the way to the horizon. Every single drop of ocean water on Earth, all of it, gone in 24 hours. What would you see? What would you find? And could anything on this planet possibly survive? Let us dive into what is honestly one of the most terrifying and most fascinating thought experiments in all of science. First, let us appreciate just how much water we are talking about. The oceans contain approximately 332 million cubic miles of water. That is a number so large it is meaningless without context. So here is some context. If you spread all the ocean water evenly across the entire surface of the Earth, it would be nearly 2 miles deep everywhere. Every mountain, every valley, every building, submerged under 2 miles of water. Now imagine all of that vanishing in a single day. The first thing you would notice, besides the obvious apocalyptic panic, is the smell. The ocean floor, freshly exposed to air for the first time in billions of years, would release unfathomable quantities of hydrogen sulfide, methane, and decomposing organic matter. The stench would be unimaginable, detectable hundreds of miles inland, and in high enough concentrations, the hydrogen sulfide would actually be lethal. You could literally die from the smell of the exposed ocean floor. Coastal cities would become cliffside towns overnight, perched on the edges of enormous canyons that plunge miles down to the former seafloor. The drop-off from the continental shelf would be staggering, a near-vertical cliff thousands of feet high that you could stand on the edge of and look down into abyss that used to be hidden under gentle waves. And what a seafloor it would be! For the first time in human history, we would see the true topography of our planet, and it is far more dramatic than anything on the surface. The Mid-Atlantic Ridge, an underwater mountain range that runs the entire length of the Atlantic Ocean from the Arctic to the Antarctic, would suddenly stand exposed as the longest and most massive mountain chain on the planet. It dwarfs the Himalayas. It dwarfs the Andes. The Mariana Trench would be revealed as a gash in the earth nearly 7 miles deep, a wound in the planet's crust so deep and so dark that standing at its edge would be like looking down from a height 3 times taller than Mount Everest into absolute blackness. And at the bottom, total darkness, temperatures fluctuating between near freezing and superheated zones around volcanic vents, and pressures that would crush a human body like a grape. You would also find shipwrecks, hundreds of thousands of them, vessels from every era of human history, perfectly preserved in the cold, oxygen-poor deep water. Ancient Phoenician trading ships, Roman galleys, Viking longboats, Spanish galleons loaded with gold, World War I and II battleships, modern container ships that vanished without a trace and were never found. The ocean floor is the world's largest museum, the ultimate archaeological treasure trove, and no human has ever been able to simply walk through it. Until now. The sheer volume of human history resting on the ocean floor would rewrite everything we think we know about maritime civilization. But here is the catastrophic part that makes this thought experiment so terrifying. Without the oceans, the global water cycle stops immediately. No evaporation means no clouds forming over the oceans. No clouds means no rain falling on land. Within weeks, every river, lake, and reservoir on Earth begins to shrink and dry up. Agriculture collapses entirely within a single growing season. Freshwater becomes the most valuable and most fought-over substance on the planet. Wars would erupt within months. The temperature swings would be lethal on their own. Oceans act as the planet's thermostat, absorbing heat during the day and releasing it at night, distributing warmth from the equator to the poles through massive currents. Without them, equatorial regions would become furnaces exceeding 160 degrees during the day, while nighttime temperatures plunge far below freezing. The difference between noon and midnight could be 80 or 90 degrees. Nothing with exposed skin could survive that. Within months, the atmosphere itself would begin to change permanently. The oceans produce over 50% of the world's oxygen through phytoplankton photosynthesis. No oceans means no phytoplankton, and oxygen levels begin a slow, irreversible decline. Over decades, Earth would start to resemble Mars. Dry, barren, rust-colored, with planet-wide dust storms raging across the exposed ocean basins. A dead world. We think of the ocean as a big puddle that fish live in, but it is actually the life support system of every single organism on this planet, including you. If you want to explore more scenarios that reveal just how fragile and how amazing our world really is, go ahead and subscribe.